to pay ransom to kidnappers. It has gotten that bad. Anyway, we have two guests on the show today, hopefully, trying as much as possible to see how we can squeeze in the number of minutes we actually have and ensure that we get a wonderful conversation with our guests. But just before we get through to our first guest on the show today, let me just run through some of the stories that made the rounds in the course of the last 7 days. We saw the President Muhammadu Buhari, ordering a reduction in the number of delegations from state and the federal government when it comes to trips. We also saw the Synagogue Church of All Nations put out their own statement to counter the documentary that was done by the BBC. Even went as far as disowning some of the ex-members that were interviewed in that documentary. We also saw some Nigerians lauding the former FCCP chief Babatunde Rukera, who was actually sacked by the president also last week. And the security in Lagos State got a bit of a boost last week when Femi Otedola actually gave 1 billion naira to the Lagos State Security Trust Fund. We also saw former Minister of Power and Steel, Luo Agunloye, remanded in prison, even though a few days later he got his bail. And the Nigeria Immigration Service also launched the automated passport application process, even though some persons are still noting that it's not as seamless as we think it actually is. But quickly, let's get into our conversation for today. We start with the judgment of the Supreme Court. Earlier on the show today, my colleague Marianne did speak with someone from the PDP as it concerns the election in Plateau State. On the show this evening, we will move it a step further as we talk to someone from the NNPP, and we're looking critically at the judgment as it concerns Kano State. I'm pleased to be joined by the Vice National Chairman of the NNPP South, Mr. Stanley EJ. Mr. Stanley, a very good evening to you. Welcome to the show.
Good evening. How are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm okay.
Okay. It's good that you made our time to join us, even though we wanted to speak to someone else, but unfortunately your colleague was in transit. But thank you for taking time, to join us on the show.
Okay, you're welcome.
Quickly, my first question will be what's your reaction to the judgment of the Supreme Court about Kanu's governorship election?
Well, first and foremost, we want to thank the judiciary, especially the Supreme Court judges, for finding it worthy to stand up to the occasion. We want to thank God and Nigerians who gave us all the necessary support, because it is victory not only just for NNPP, but equally for Nigerian and democracy. And we're seeing this opportunity to thank the Supreme Court in advance for Taraba. Because what happened in Kano exactly happens equally in Taraba State. NNPP won the election there in Taraba. But you can see what has happened in the lower courts as affected NNPP in Kano. That is what happened in Taraba. So we are hoping and we believe that the justice of the Supreme Court will do justice, just as they have done to Kano, to Taraba State.
Now, there have been insinuations in a lot of quarters that possibly the Supreme Court judges may have been influenced by threats of violence from some of your party members. What would you say to those insinuations?
That is not true, because NNPP is a party of responsible people. We are a party of highly disciplined people. You cannot turn what is white to become black. NNPP, through Abagidagida, Yusuf won that election clean and clear. So there is no need for anybody to intimidate anybody or anybody to issue threats. It was very obvious and clear that some people in certain quarters were trying to influence the judgment. But at the end of the day, good conscience prevailed because the Supreme Court knows that Nigerians are watching them. How do you become the umpire? Is the judiciary the umpire? No, INEC was the umpire. And INEC has said these ballot papers were counted. They were the one that issued it. How do you justify the fact that you now want to tell the political party who is their candidate? So there were obvious facts that does not need any threats in any egalitarian society where the rules of law and transparency and accountability rules. So we do not have any reason why we have to threaten anybody. We follow the due process, went to court, argued our case as it were, and judgment was given to us.
All right. So this issue where elections are held, winners are declared, and at the end of the day, we find ourselves in situations where the judiciary, one way or the other, have to now make pronouncements either for or against. And sometimes we see elections that may have been won on the field on election day upon as a result of one technicality or not. How good is this for democracy in Nigeria?
It portends very serious trouble because you cannot imagine a situation where a candidate of a political party will go all out and campaign, having met the necessary conditions by INEC, and he goes there into the field, defeats his opponent, and the opponent will go and start looking for technicalities, and the court will grant those frivolous excuses. It is not fair. It is not good for democracy to strive. So the justices of the Supreme Court have stood up to the occasion. I want to remind us that prior to this, our judgment, the Supreme Court has ruled before that the issue of candidacy of a political party is a pre-election matter. So anybody bringing that to what they call it, to the Supreme Court or to Court of Appeal was just looking for trouble. It's not going anywhere, and that is why Nigerians are happy today. Democracy will now have hope. We don't have hope.
All right. Finally, before I let you go, is the NNPP going to be fielding candidates in the rerun elections that we'll have from next month?
Yes. In which states?
Well, Lagos State for one.
Why not? We have structures all over the state, in the 30 states and Abuja.
Many might want to disagree that you're mostly popular in Kano and neighboring states.
That is not true. In the last election, we fielded candidates in all the positions that were contestable. We did that. Yes, in all states of the Federation.
All right, Mr. Stanley J, I would like to thank you for taking our time once again to join us on the newsroom this evening.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you, Nigerians, for having me.
All right, Mr. Stanley J is the Vice National Chairman, South of the New Nigeria People's Party. Of course, he just spoke to us on issues concerning his party and the very contentious governorship elections in Kano State. We're going to go on a very quick commercial break, and when we come back, well, issues of security will get us talking. It's been one kidnapping case to another in the last couple of days, and it's not been funny. By the way, I don't know why I keep saying President Muhammadu Buhari. It's President Bola Tinubu. Apologies. I think I made that mistake earlier. Thank you, Stanley from Ogudu, for reminding me of that. I didn't even know that's what I said until I saw your message. Apologies. It's President Bola Tinubu, not President Muhammadu Buhari. He is gone. I'll be back in a few minutes, and we will talk about the security challenges we have, as well as the Armed Forces Remembrance Day. We'll be right back.
You are listening to your number one station for talk.
99.3 Nigeria Info.
99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.
Let me explain why I switched my company's healthcare partner to Reliance HMO. Our old partner didn't process payments in time, so we had delayed access to care. It meant that I had to add sorting out team members' medical issues to my many HR responsibilities. Can you imagine? Reliance HMO solved these issues but didn't stop there. Their app allows us to connect to a doctor 24/7 via an internet connection. It even gets better. After consultation, the prescribed drugs are delivered free of charge. Yes, managing the healthcare of my large staff team is easier than ever. I registered everyone in the shortest possible time. Why wouldn't I choose them? Make a smart choice like me. Choose Reliance HMO today.
For more information, call 0700 735 42623. Reliance HMO, the next generation HMO for business.
There were loads of moments that give me cool vibes when I get that Jara or when I get that sweet bonus from my 9 mobile network.
Enjoy 9 confirms with 1,000 Naira activation bonus, 900% bonus on every recharge. Double data bonus on your first month recharge and a whopping 100% data bonus for 6 months. Get a new SIM or dial *1400# to migrate.
9 Mobile. Here for you. Here for Ninja.
It's time to fill your calendar with incredible adventures and inspiring destinations with Qatar Airways. Enjoy our amazing savings of up to 25% and create cherished moments on the journey of a lifetime. Book by 15 January 2024 for travel until 30th October 2024 on QatarAirways.com. Terms and conditions apply. Qatar Airways, going places together.
Let's record.
Wow! I almost didn't recognize you.
Have I changed that much?
Your skin is simply brilliant.
Oh, yes. I don't lightning exfoliating soap. It's my secret to clear, beautiful skin.
You look ready for your music video.
I don't lightning exfoliating soap. Be bold, be beautiful, be Idol. Idol also comes in carrot and papaya variants. Idol is NAFDAC approved.
Oh yeah, give me confirm. Turn it up loud. Keep it confirm. 9 times bonus. Very confirm. God data text. Very confirm.
Enjoy 9 confirms with 1,000 Naira activation bonus, 900% bonus on every recharge. Double data bonus on your first month recharge and a whopping 100% data bonus for 6 months. Get a new SIM or dial *1400# to migrate.
9 Mobile.
It is easier to talk of poverty than to think of the poor.
To negotiate with the European Union by December this year, 4,000 MOUs will be deployed in Europe.
To create a minimum standard of life below which no human being can fall is the elementary duty of the democratic state.
Kill corruption in our society. Let the poor breathe. Don't suffocate them.
133 million Nigerians in multi-dimensional poverty is an open belt.
We're seeing in Nigeria today, it's a tragedy that we are all witnessing, because as we see things falling apart, the pressure instead is corruption.
And the people rail.
So the poor now is choking. The poor is suffocating.
Against politicians who equivocate.
People are not going to vote because everybody's angry with the government.
Theorize, postulate, dramatize.
I cannot vote anybody. I cannot vote for anybody again.
While the trite politics reduce even our very culture to the level of our poverty. And so, you must know that not chance, not odds, but choice is the most fortunate of our options. The people must choose the state. On Nigeria Info. Coming soon.
Welcome back to your number one talk, news, and sports station. This is Nigeria Info.
Nigeria Info.
Welcome back from the break. If you're just joining us, it is 99.3 Nigeria Info, 31 minutes gone past the 6 o'clock hour. It's still the Newsroom, a program brought to you by Nigeria Info's Newsroom. On the show, we take a critical look at some of the big stories that have made the rounds in the course of the past 7 days. Ufuoma Egbamuno is my name, and of course, I'm joined here by my producer, Emmanuel Onwoka, who is working round the clock to ensure that we have a seamless production. Remember, you can watch this show live. We're streaming on Facebook, Nigeria Info 993, and on YouTube, it's Nigeria Info FM. I did mention in my intro that we will talk about security and the not so great conversations that it has brought about over the course of the last couple of days. It's been a challenge, I have to admit. It did not start with the presidency of Bola Ahmed Tinubu. It's been an ongoing challenge, give or take over the last 12, 13 years or maybe more. But it feels like it has gotten so bad such that the seat of power, Abuja, people feel the threat, and today is supposedly Armed Forces Remembrance Day, a day set aside to, of course, mark the achievements and the sacrifices that veterans, both dead and alive, have done to ensure that Nigeria remains a united nation. Loads and loads of sacrifices that our security personnel continue to do. We'll probably talk about this, but of course we're focusing especially on the issues of kidnapping, to the point where we now crowd fund to pay ransom. To be very honest, I found that story about the story of 6 sisters who were kidnapped alongside their father. It's been really, really troubling. The police public relations officer, Muyiwa Dijobi, says a comprehensive plan of action that will aid its fight against kidnapping is already ongoing, and also pleading with the public to corroborate with the operatives to ensure that they get useful information. But quite shocking, quite surprising, former Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, Issa Pantami, put out a post on his official Twitter handle and talked about the fact that a friend of his had offered to pay the 50 million naira ransom that the kidnappers allegedly asked for earlier. I hear that has now gone up, to 700 million. How that came about, I honestly do not know. But the unfortunate incident also is that the unfortunate thing about the incident is that one of the sisters has actually been killed by the kidnappers, and so many questions. We'll talk about this security challenge as we have a security expert who will be joining us on the show right about now. We've got a retired major of the United States Army, Mr. Ndubisi Eze, or I should say Major Ndubisi Eze, joining us on the Newsroom this evening. A very good evening to you, sir. Welcome to the Newsroom.
Good evening, my dear brother. Good evening, capacity presenter. Good evening, fellow Nigerians. Happy New Year to all.
Yes, Happy New Year to you. But my very first question will be that it's not been a really happy New Year for a lot of Nigerians as it concerns security issues. But before you talk about that, let's first of all talk about today, which is a very significant day in Nigeria's history, Armed Forces Remembrance Day. What do you have to say about this special day as it concerns security operatives who have given their all, both dead and alive, to preserve the unity of this country?
Oh, thank you so very much. Indeed, today is a very special day in the life of every serviceman and woman. Indeed, today is a day that will commemorate all that they've done.
I see there is no sacrifice that worth a lot to a nation like the sacrifices of the lives of the citizens that so stand up to defend the integrity, the sovereignty integrity of the nation. So these men and women that lay down their lives, for the cause of this nation need to be celebrated. Again, even the living, as we celebrate the dead, we as well have to think about the living. What about the lives of those that are still in service? How are they coping? How is their life going? Are they everything that need to be done for them so that they make their service to be somewhat at least appreciable, to appreciate them for the services, for all they've been doing for the country and all. You see, I could tell you that the Nigerian Armed Forces, they've done a lot right from the days of the old till the present. They're doing a lot and they keep doing a lot. So I'll urge the government to look into the possibility of trying to make their life very amenable, to try to make their life, at least let them feel the joy of serving their fatherland. Let them feel the joy of sacrificing their lives. Even those that they've passed on, those that they fell on the process of defending the nation, serving the nation, the country should find a place and act after their families, take care of their families. The kids, the children they left behind, to make sure that they're educated, they go to school. There has to be provision to train the kids, the orphans that the servicemen and women left behind. So I would say that today I join every other of my veterans, to celebrate our fellow veterans, our foreign heroes that pay the ultimate price. I salute them and I salute them.
All right, let me also add, for the benefit of those listening, that the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tariq Lagbaja, did mention in his Armed Forces Remembrance Day that, one of his priority will be the welfare of the families and, of course, of Army personnel. By the way, Nigerians, January 15th is also a very significant day apart from the Armed Forces Remembrance Day. For those of us who are into history, today also marks the anniversary of the first military coup to ever happen in Nigeria, January 15th, 1966. Also, January 15th is the day that Nigeria's civil war eventually ended. That happened January 15th, 1970. So just so you know, Nigeria, or those of you listening, or everyone listening, that today is a very, very significant day in Nigeria's history. But let's move on now, and let's talk about the security challenges that has become quite enormous. Kidnapping, especially in the Federal Capital Territory. I speak with a couple of my colleagues in Abuja, and off the records, some of the things they tell me, are not cool enough. And you begin to wonder if the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, and its environs have all of these security challenges. What's the hope for the rest of the country?
Could I come in very quickly?
Go ahead. I was actually asking you that question.
All right, cool. All right. I would say, what, my brother, frankly speaking, your guess is equal good as mine. Because you know what? The worst description of insecurity of any country, of any situation, could be where it was described with whatever that happens in the capital city. You see, America, you can do every other thing, but you can never do every other thing in America, like to come into the sovereign of America, to try to turn America for whatever reason, be it domestic or foreign. America will follow. But to come to the Washington, D.C., the seat of government, is a no-no. So I would say that talking about the aspect of insecurity that is ongoing, the kidnapping that is ongoing in the Federal Capital Territory, the seat of federal government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, it is totally a no-no. How could it be? How could other components of the nation be described where the seat of government is being taken over, invaded by bandits, by kidnappers and all? How could that be described? So now the question will be, okay, like the other day I had the news of kidnapping that went on somewhere in Duse, whereby 10 persons were kidnapped. Out of the 10 being kidnapped, about 3 now, they said the news had it that they already killed them. Also, there was a news of the one that happened in Buhari, not quite far from Aduse. About 7 were kidnapped. And out of them, 5 sisters, or maybe about 6 siblings, right? Yeah. One of them, because the family are unable to meet up with the ransom being demanded by the kidnapping terrorists. Because I know any person that kidnaps people for ransom, there's no difference between that person and the terrorist. All right? So now, those ones being kidnapped, the 7, because the family couldn't meet up to the ransom demand of 60 million, learned that unfortunately they were lost a 13-year-old student, the female, one of the sisters. So now they're still holding on 5 of them. And they've increased the demand now to about 100 or whatever they're talking about there.
Yes, allegedly. We hear it's now.
Okay, good. So now, this is my question. This money is being paid to these terrorist kidnappers, 60 million, 100 million, and all those millions. Where are they coming from? So now I heard that when you're making the intro about what Patani, the former minister, said, of the family raising, for goodness sake, when he was in government and the government then, what did they do?
So there's been this issue. You talked about ASAP Pantami, which also brings to mind, the issue of NIN. When we had to do all of that registration to ensure that you can easily track these things either through their bank accounts or through their telephone lines. And I'm wondering, as a security expert, why is it that till now we're still struggling with getting a hold of these terrorists such that they are now emboldened to do more?
It's a very simple thing to say, because for my trade craft as a mercantile personnel and field operator, I could tell you just very straightforward. The issue is that you can never fight and win an unconventional, a subversive warfare or subversive situation with a conventional method. All right? You must go outside the box. Okay, for example, I would say that the Honorable Minister of FCT, the first thing you have to do to be able to see something meaningful being achieved in our FCT is to step up his play, to take charge of the security. And taking charge of the security, you have to look outside the box, do things differently. Buying vehicles given to security operatives, given to the police, the civil defense, all sister agencies of the security agents of the government security authorities. Buying vehicles to them and giving them all those is quite good. It's quite well, but why not invest in security technology such that will give you a proactive edge?
Do we probably have the capacity or the infrastructure to allow these technology or these facilities you're talking about? Can they work right here in Nigeria?
No, sure. It can. It's just very simple. Okay, let me. Why I said before about Professor Patani or whatever. Not that I try to antagonize the government or whatever. No, but the point is this: all that money being raised. For example, he is into ICT. If I don't make mistakes, how much is a drone? How much is what do you call it? That's a scrambler. That whatever to try to figure out whoever that calls, where the call is coming to monitor calls and all whatnot. Instead of waiting, yes, Abuja is the seat of government. Definitely, we have the force headquarters domicile in Abuja quite well, but we shouldn't be looking for the federal police to do everything. It comes in even as well to state police. FCT has to be equipped. The police, the FCT police command has to be equipped, have to have the proper equipment. They should not wait for the central body, for the force headquarters to do. The FCT have to take the lead of the security in the FCT. And that is to equip them. That is to invest in security technologies that will enable them to have a proactive edge against these bad guys.
Well, sometimes it feels easier said than done. We've been talking a lot about all of these security challenges. In fact, even the current president did say quite a lot. If you go back to some of his messages from 10, 12 years ago, when someone else, not even from his party, was president. But like I said, it feels like talk. It's easier to talk, but when we get into these positions of power, it becomes challenging. But there's the accusation that some of these terrorists are aided by some security personnel themselves. We've had allegations of some police officers or some of these terrorists alleging, that they actually rent some of the firepower they use from police officers. We've seen situations or allegations where some army officials allegedly have aided some of these terrorists. How are you going to win a war when there's a bit of sabotage from within?
You see, basically, I would say it boils down to the same thing. Definitely, you can never excuse corruption out of the whole equation of the insecurity. Yes, there's an aspect of corruption inside the whole thing. There will always be corrupt eggs inside the system, definitely. But that shouldn't be overall excuse or every time excuse. So the point is this. Government the primary responsibility of government is to secure lives and property.
True.
So in that case, you understand, they should look inwardly. What have we done or we've not done? Because the definition of insanity they normally say is that, you understand, doing something repeatedly the same way all over again and expecting different results. So something needs to be done that have not been done before. They have to invest in smart security technologies that will help to put the security. This time around, you see, it's not about fire brigade approach. And all that being used on this is fire brigade approach. Whenever there's an incident, everybody goes on the air, starts shouting this and all that, but after that, everything comes down. Just like the trainer, whatever the terrorists that bombed our train and took our citizens captive, every time is the same. So all this money, why not the government trying to invest? See, my brother, like you said, talk. I put it very straight, saying government invest in security technologies to have to give the security operatives an edge.
Okay.
The human beings, they need to be equipped. Quite well, they are trained. That's what they're trained to do. But you can never train a man to go to war, and you go to war, you leave him to go there at the front, empty-handed.
All right, we would have to leave it at that. Time not so on our side. Thank you very much, retired Major Ndubisi Eze, for finding time to join us on the newsroom this evening.
Okay, please, if I could just put in a little bit, just very quick. Thank you so very much for the opportunity. And I'll also ask Nigerians and our fellow Abuja residents, please, let nothing, the greatest thing that we could do is to succumb to fear. No, we can't succumb to fear. So let us, instead, let's demand from our government to step up. Meanwhile, on us as citizens, if you see something, say something. If you see any move, say something, because these guys, they are not spirits. They are not ghosts. They stay within. They do everything, reconnaissance, they do recce, they do all. Before ever they attack, they don't just attack like spirit. They scan the place. They shadow everything before they act. They pick their soft target. So let's not get afraid. Let's stand up. If you see any crooked waka, talk, Nigerians. Talk. Let's also step in for our security. Okay? That's what I could say, my brother. Thank you so very much for the opportunity again. Thank you, Nigerians.
Thank you very much. That was, of course, a retired major of the U.S. Army, Ndubisi Eze, joining us on the newsroom this evening to talk on some of the security issues we have. I have a bit of messages that I would read out. This person did not actually put his name. A bit of a Bello Isiaka, okay. A bit of a conspiracy theory I might want to add, but he says the insecurity in Abuja is man-made, and it's simply because the Southerner is governing the FCT and not their indigene. Like I said, a bit of conspiracy theory, but I get what you're trying to say, even though I might not totally agree. But Nigeria is actually a place where the absurd actually happened. So never rule out anything. Tunde Max from Badagry says the situation with the Supreme Court is that Nigerians would only feel pleased when it favors them. If your party wins, no one says democracy is in danger. I think I want to agree with you. The Supreme Court is the best thing after sliced bread for some sections of Nigerians right now because, the results or the judgments favored or went to their taste or went the way they wanted. But when it didn't, like it didn't in the case of the presidential election, then all hope is lost. All hope for democracy is lost. The Supreme Court is a sellout. Anyway, make of that what you wish. Let's see. Can I squeeze in a call or two? Maybe not. I don't have so much time, and it would not be great to actually cut you short if you about to give your comments. But hey, I think I still have 2 minutes, Emmanuel. Is that not 2 minutes? All right, guys, that's the show today. I'll see you next week.
This is an infomercial.
Do you need a professional caregiver to care for?
99.3 Nigeria Info. We are more than just radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Nigeria Info FM. Check us out on Facebook at Nigeria Info 99.3. Follow us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM and on Instagram at Nigeria Info FM Lagos for live updates as it happens. 99.3 Nigeria Info.